Welcome to Chicago. Oh yeah, this is Watch Dogs. What else could it possibly be? Well, this has been hyped to high heaven for the past, forever. And I've gotta say, I'm getting real sick of this hype, anti-hype circle jerk that happens around the release of games, especially high-profile games, games that AAA releases for the most part. What the heck is that noise? Sorry. Anyway, where people will find any excuse, really, to bandwagon for and or against something without knowing much about it. But hey, so Watch Dogs. I'm going to preface this by saying I'm not going to do any story missions during this video because I don't want to spoil anything. So I'm going to avoid campaign missions for the length of this video, which might be kind of long because there's a lot to cover. But yeah, welcome to Chicago. So I'm running this game currently on Ultra settings, everything up as high as it'll go. I might as well show you the options menu, in fact. You've got a lot of stuff. The only thing that I haven't basically cranked up to max is AA, because MSAA, that's multi-sampling, anti-aliasing, is extremely heavy in this game, so I'm using temporal SMAA, which looks very good, but doesn't hit my system quite as hard. Got ultra textures going on and all that stuff. As far as graphical quality goes, you have a lot of settings. And, wait, motion blur is on? I thought I turned that off. Motion blur off, please. Thank you. Now, the big bugbear in the room that we should get out of the way right now is probably something that a lot of you know about already, and that's the optimization of this game. The optimization is similar to that car wreck I just caused. It's a mess. Damn. Run, girl! Yeah, it's a mess. Now, I can run this game quite well at a solid 50 to 60 FPS on the settings I have right now. But I have a GTX 780 Ti graphics card and a quad-core Intel i7 4820K at 3.7 GHz, as well as 16 gigs of very high-speed 2200 MHz RAM. In other words, I have a very beefy system that's meant for gaming at high quality and rendering videos and things like that. So my setup is not indicative of the average gamer's setup. And it's taken all of the power that I have, basically, to run this game in ultra settings at 60 FPS. That's a problem. You shouldn't need a $740 graphics card to run a game at 60 FPS. That's a little bit silly. Whoops. Now, it's not as bad as, say, Grand Theft Auto 4's optimization, which is famously pretty awful because people with varying systems can run it at varying qualities, and sometimes it doesn't even make sense. This game isn't quite that bad. For the most part, it works, but the problem is it's very, very taxing, more so than it should be, because in my opinion, it looks very good. It's a good-looking game, but it doesn't look as good as the performance would indicate. In other words, it needs a very beefy system to run at high settings, maybe a little bit too beefy. So the problem is, really, that, please don't explode. It's a problem, really, I guess is the best way to put it. There are people that really just can't run this game very well at all, and they have a fairly good system. Now, yeah, it's pretty, but it's not that pretty. So, yeah, buyer beware on that one. The optimization is something that should be a deal breaker for a lot of people, because although I can run it, my system is meant for much more than high quality gaming, and you shouldn't need a system like that to reliably run a game. That's a little absurd. So, now, to get that out of the way, yeah, the game is not as well optimized as it should be. Even on my system, if I turn the anti-aliasing up to MSAA times 8, I get some stuttering and about 40 FPS, which is a little ridiculous on my system. I mean, I have one of the best graphics cards monies Money can buy. And, I'm not SLIing them or anything, but still, it's kinda nuts. So yeah, let the buyer beware, and also AMD users. I'm very sorry, but there's some optimization issues on AMD as well. So if you are an AMD user, I recommend maybe holding off a bit. The new drivers that AMD released, as well as the drivers NVIDIA released, are good. They help. Across the board, you will see an increase in performance. The NVIDIA ones increase my performance by about 25 FPS. And the AMD ones are supposedly pretty good. But again, I feel like with equivalent-ish AMD power, you're not getting as good performance as you should be. So again, let the buyer beware. I'm sorry to report that, but the optimization needs some work on this game. So now that that's out of the way, let's talk about the other big bugbear, and that's the graphics, because the video's been making the rounds. It doesn't look as good as the E3 footage, and the fact is it doesn't actually look quite that good. In my opinion, it's still a very pretty game. But the E3 footage is a little more impressive. So let's talk about why that is. That is because E3 footage is almost always a lie. Now, that's not an excuse for the company to get away with it, but it's a fact that E3 footage is almost always heavily manufactured. It's marketing footage. It's a vertical slice of gameplay. I can guarantee you 100% that Ubisoft did not have the rest of the open world looking as good as the E3 footage did. And what I mean by that is that wasn't representative of the entire game. As it says on the bottom, work in progress. Now, you could say that footage is a blatant lie, and I wouldn't necessarily blame you for saying that, because it kind of is. But you also have to understand that the game is complete now, and thus the quality probably went down across the board a little bit to get that to work. So the whole developers lying about their vertical slices of gameplay has happened for a very long time. E3 footage is never trustworthy, to say the least. It's not representative of the final product, and, well, it's obvious. It's real obvious that it isn't. So yeah, it doesn't look as good. It's still very pretty, but the problem is some people are using that as an excuse to, you know, hate the game, because, again, this anti-hype circle jerk that happens where any sort of bad news related to a game automatically, of course, means that everything about the game sucks, because, you know, children like to say things like that. They don't know what objectivity versus subjectivity is, and if you want to see more of this, go to, say, I don't know, the sections outside of general gaming discussion on the Facepunch Studios forums, or anywhere on Reddit, where people will very likely be very happy to tell you that their opinions are, of course, extremely correct, and based on a lot of gameplay, a lot of experience. In other words, they have no idea what they're talking about, and they're on a bandwagon. But in any event, yeah, it doesn't look as good. It still looks good, but vertical slice. I wouldn't put too much stock in E3 footage of any game ever. So, welcome to Watch Dogs. Yeah, I know, the beginning of this was a little controversial maybe, because I'm just kind of sick of that very idiotic, childish high school bullshit that happens around new releases. It's getting very annoying. So what's Watch Dogs about? Well, pretty much everyone knows it's an open world game where you're in near future Chicago. There's a lot of information streaming around in the air, a lot of hacking, a lot of burst pipes, and angry people. So let's talk about the city. The city is quite large. Of course, Chicago in real life is a pretty big place, and in this case, yeah, it's pretty big. There's a lot to see. A lot of different areas, all of which, especially Pawnee, for instance, are quite different from each other and have their own feel. The Loop, for instance, is pretty metropolitan. You have more industrious areas, you have more suburban areas, and overall, you get a pretty coherent city feeling out of it. So, The story of the game has received some criticism because it's a little vigilante, vendetta, revenge-ish, and again, I'm not going to spoil anything, but I will happily say that, yeah, the story is maybe a little cliched. Your character, of course, does have a vendetta. He's a bit of a vigilante. In fact, he is the vigilante, as they call him. And, the story, I think, could be a little better. One of the weaker points of the game, in terms of the presentation, is probably the story. If I have any complaint about that, it's just that it's a little cliched, a little expectable.
Described itself as the modern-day canary in the coal mine.
But, you know, it's not the worst thing ever. So, graphically, it's pretty impressive. I like the options menu. It gives you a lot of options, and you can tweak the experience pretty well. Now, for all the optimization issues that it does have, it does allow you to scale the game down in a lot of steps so that your system can probably run it, but again, it doesn't run as well as it probably should. So, let's do this. I found a crime. The game has a Guild Wars 2 style of things almost, where it just constantly throws new things to do at you, and in this case, there's a crime happening around here somewhere.
Need to find this guy.
So, this is a big feature of the game. This is the profiler. It allows you to look at people and things and get a bunch of information. This is what you see when you look at someone and it shows, you know.
Hey,
Oh.
that shit open.
Shows who they are, little blurbs about them. Neutralize a criminal. So you are the vigilante. So you're going around doing things like this, trying to save people, and you have a reputation. Killing civilians will decrease your reputation, robbing stores, killing cops. But, taking people alive will give you a better reputation than killing them. However, you still can kill them. Hacking bank accounts for money, however, that's alright. So everyone has a face and everyone has a name, little blurbs and income and occupation. It's actually really cool. And that's one thing I want to say about this game right off the bat. The city feels alive. Chicago feels extremely alive. When you leave an area as you're walking through, you feel as if you're leaving behind an area. You don't feel like... I don't know, you don't feel like it's just a place and you're moving through it without paying attention. Everything has a bit of personality to it. Like, I'm seeing people's text messages right now. Someone left a bag of stuff around and I gotta find it. So you can whip out the profiler and look at people and get all kinds of information from them. You can hack their bank accounts for money and then blue screen an ATM to get the amount that you've hacked for. You can listen in on people's conversations and text messages. You can get music, information on cars. There is a system where you can buy cars and have them delivered to you. And things like that. You can actually do a lot of that kind of stuff. And as you can tell, there's also a free running system. Now, Ubisoft is pretty well known for this because Assassin's Creed. Now, the free running system is a bit different than Assassin's Creed because you are not a trained assassin, you're not a ninja. But you can still free run pretty well. You're not going to be scaling huge buildings necessarily. And you're not going to be climbing all over the city. You can do a limited amount of free running and things like that. More urban explorer style than crazy assassin ninja style. So that's cool. And the actual movement of the game has a pretty good feel to it. Now, I'm playing on keyboard, and I have found the game completely playable with a keyboard and mouse. The driving is a little wonky at first, takes some getting used to. The movement system feels superb, the shooting feels really good with a mouse, and I mean, I've not run into any problems using keyboard and mouse. The way that you move in combination with the keys and the mouse is pretty fluid feeling. And the way you can vault and slide around stuff, it lends itself well to the game. Exploring Chicago is very, very fun. You know, it's a very enjoyable city to mess around in. And that's really important because it is an open world game. So every section of the city, you got these monuments, these landmarks, these check-in points of interest, which is like a Foursquare system where you can check into these little check marks on the map, like these hotspots. It's like Foursquared in real life. And you can earn achievements and stuff for checking into them. You can become the mayor of the spot if you check into it more than anyone else around every week. You can leave gifts for other players to claim, and you can claim other players' gifts. The whole game has a theme of this social system to it. It's very, very, not quite cyberpunk, but, you know, heavily Big Brother themed thing. And that's something I want to absolutely praise the game for, because the feeling that you get from this, it's pretty incredible. The way that information streams around, and you have to be pretty quick. You have to process a lot of information, especially when you're in combat, or say, driving, trying to escape, driving at high speed and seeing all the things you can hack and things like that. The streaming information in the air is a really cool feature, and it actually feels like it should in a game like this. You have to be quick, you have to be focused. And I like that. The theme of the game is carried really well in most of the activities and just the world itself. So let's do a side mission here. This is a gang hideout mission.
Wants to beat a woman. Beating through a straw when I'm done with him.
Basically, you gotta find a gang hideout, and there are people there you have to incapacitate but not kill. However, anyone else in the area you can kill. Basically, you're trying to scare the crap out of a certain person. Other people's lives around the area don't necessarily matter. It's a little weird. Some of the people you know, the difference between killing and incapacitating people is a little contrived sometimes. And it's not something you can look into too much, because suspension of disbelief, really. So, there are going to be 2 targets up here that I have to profile and knock out. But anyone else I can kill.
How's that happening?
Uh-oh. Alright, that guy right there, I cannot kill him. Jesse Shaw. This guy I can kill. Now, there's a system in this game called Focus,
Hey.
where you
Somebody
can
back there?
slow down time, knock people out, shoot them, etc., etc. You can do that while driving as well, and it changes the handling a bit. It's pretty cool. So what I need to do is get to this guy and knock him out. The game has a cover system, as you can see, that works quite well. You can vault, take cover, all kinds of stuff like that.
Check your ammo. Just give
Alright.
it up.
That guy's got a sniper rifle and can call reinforcements. I don't want him doing that. Alright. Alright, this could get a little messy. Alright.
It's not looking too great. Get a few more hitters here. You got it.
Crap.
Grenade! I'll cut him off.
Nice. Ooh, yeah, someone I needed to knock down died. That's a bit of a weird point in the game, where some people have to be killed and some people have to be knocked out. But, you know, that's how it works. Let's try this one more time. So, the weapon system in the game is interesting. You've got slots for weapons, but you can actually carry multiple of each. So I don't have a pistol slot with one pistol, I have a pistol slot with all of the pistols that I own. So that works for all the other things, and as you can see, there's actually a crafting system. You can collect various components and use them to craft objects that you unlock through the skill tree. So the skill tree, this is your smartphone. It has apps like you would expect. Again, the theme carrying very well through this game. The skill trees are pretty cool. So you've got skills and all of these things. You level up and can put points into hacking, combat, crafting, and driving. But you've also got a progression skill wheel. Now, things like minigames, the online system, and various collectibles actually each have a little skill tree that you can unlock different objects achievements, cars, weapons, all kinds of cool stuff for getting collectibles, and that's actually really neat. There are also other things like, is it here? There are, yeah, they're not actually in this, but there are these things called digital trips, which are really cool, and I have to show you one later. They even have their own skill trees as well. There, digital trips. You can access all this stuff through your smartphone, and it's pretty cool. There's even a field guide. So, essentially, the point I'm trying to get across is, the game is massive. There's a lot to do, which is really very important in an open world game. There needs to be a lot to do. Alright. Listens to death metal. I like that person. Ooh, a system key. Those are very useful. Alright. I can hack his grenade. People are gonna start freaking out. Alright, I need to knock that guy down and not kill him. That's gonna be difficult. Alright. So, gunplay in the game feels very good. There are lots of guns. They each feel pretty good. Recoil and things like that are important. Recoil is a bit easier to do in a third-person game than a first-person game, while still making it controllable. It's good. The weapons sounds are not necessarily as good as I would like. Some of the weapons sound pretty cool, some of them not so much. So it's a mixed bag. Sound in this entire game, as I found with a lot of Ubisoft games, is a bit... it's a bit of a mixed bag. The voice actors are each pretty good, but the voice acting, like megahertz quality, sometimes sounds a bit tinny, kind of like it did in Far Cry 3. The actual sound effects for most things, like explosions, impacts and things, pretty awesome. Crashes sound pretty cool. But weapon sound effects, mixed bag. So this is a cool feature. I can try and remain fairly stealthed and start messing with these guys remotely via cameras, things like that. This is awesome. Yeah. So the entire game actually revolves very heavily around the idea that everyone is being watched. Everything is more or less, how to say, accessible in a digital way. And you, of course, being a hacker, can take advantage of all this. Alright, we need to start thinning these guys out.
Fuck! It's armed! Oh Jesus! Oh shit! Oh fuck! It's armed! It's armed!
He's gone. Nice. 3 vets down. Alright.
This guy cannot get away.
So, I've gotta be a bit careful still. There are lots of dudes around here. You can distract people by texting them as if you're their fiancé and you've discovered they've given you a fake ring. You can distract people via noises, lights, and sounds. It's cool. There's a way to do every mission that's less direct. There's, oh god, oh god, oh god! There's a way to, how do I say it? There's basically multiple ways to achieve the same objective for pretty much every mission. You can basically go in guns blazing if you want. You can be really stealthy and hack the crap out of everything and everyone, or various combinations of things in between, which is kind of what I like to do. I don't mind killing people in this game, but I like to be
Everything's gone tits off!
kind of creative about it. Like that guy's vocabulary.
Damn! He almost hit me!
Alright. AK time. Visual effects, the bullets, the impacts and things are really impressive in this game, and it looks pretty good. But again, sound quality needs some work. But hey. Alright, so there's one more target that is not to be killed. I need to find out who that is, so I don't accidentally kill them. Is it you? Yes. Alright. So now I know, then that means everyone else is fair game. Alright. I cannot shoot you. I need to get you over here. Alright, Scott Pitt. Done. Alright. Put away my gun. And get out of here. I need to escape this area. Alright. Cause a bit of chaos. And see if we can disappear. You can do pretty cool things like hiding in cars on the side of the road and things like that. And you can actually, and this is another very important part of the game, actually hack other players. There is an invasion, almost Dark Souls-like system where you can go into other players' games as a civilian, and they don't even know you're there. Until you start hacking them and they have to find you and basically profile you and find which one of the various civilians you are in time before the hack finishes, which is an incredibly cool system. That is one of the most fun parts of this game by far. The idea that
come on, man.
You're paranoid sometimes because you don't know who it could be. You don't even know if maybe, I don't want to get, I like that song, but I don't want to get flagged. You don't even know if, per se, oh, dang it.
There he is!
Someone is in your game at any given time. You could be being watched. You don't know. And that is, again, part of the theme of this game that it carries so well. You could be being watched at any given time. Okay. Like I said, the game carries its theme extremely well. You've got no idea if, at some point, you might be being watched by another, another player.
This is a waste of time. He's gone.
Got him. Nice. Alright. So everything about this game kind of oozes its own form of its theme, which I like a lot. I love the fact that the theme permeates every aspect of the game, from the main story missions to the side quests you do. There are like those digital trips, which are almost like drugs, only instead of being physical drugs, they're brainwave changing, like, digital patterns. There are even augmented reality little mini games you can do, like that cash run thing you saw me do earlier, where it looked like skulls and coins were floating around everywhere. Everything about this game oozes that theme. And that's something that, despite my criticisms of the story, the game has pulled off extremely well. Ubisoft's having some issues with their servers. At least I can still play the game. So, I don't know, it's really hard for me to come to a single conclusion about this game because a lot of people are saying it's a disappointment. I think most of it is because of the anti-hype circle jerk that arises around games like this, and people are just using various things to justify their very ill-formed opinions. But there are plenty of reasons, legitimate reasons, to not like the game. The performance is one of the biggest ones. The somewhat cliched story, another big one. The driving, I like. It's very arcadey, almost Saints Row-esque. It's lightweight, you slide around everywhere, you can power slide really effectively. The impacts are heavy, and that makes driving with a keyboard easy. But if people are looking for the more weighty, realistic, and honestly very satisfying driving style of, say, Grand Theft Auto 4 and 5, I think, you're not going to find that here. So that's another reason, something you should look at. If you're like a driving enthusiast in open world games and you're expecting Grand Theft Auto style driving, you're not going to get it. I like the driving style, but I completely understand why some people wouldn't. So it's more Saints Row lightweight power slide driving than Grand Theft Auto heavy, realistic, weighty car style driving. So what else is there to talk about? I've talked about the gunplay, I've talked about the world of Chicago, the graphics. Let's talk about the editions. Yeah, that's famous. There are 7 editions of the game you could pre-order. So I'm happy to say that most of that was cosmetic stuff. As you can tell, I'm wearing actually one of those outfits right now because I happened to get it. Holy crap! There are all kinds of outfits you can buy at clothing stores in this game, and most of those pre-order bonuses were outfits. Some of them were were exclusive missions. I don't know what those missions are like. I haven't gotten to any of them yet. And I believe one of them, the DedSec pack, offered a biometric assault rifle of some kind. I don't know what that's like either. But the pre-order bonuses don't affect the game much, I'm happy to say. Most of that stuff that people were complaining about is very, it's art team stuff when the actual game itself is finished. Being put through that awful console authentication system. And the art team has nothing to do, so they make more outfits and stuff. That's mostly what it is, so I'm happy to say that it doesn't affect gameplay. But I still think they went overboard. Ouch.
Hey, I checked. I was sure it was empty. I don't know how that BB got in there. I shook it and nothing rattled. Shit, man. I miss that guy.
There's another example. What it feels like is every pedestrian has a life, and every area has people hanging out. I passed a building where this history teacher and someone else were rapping to each other, and I listened in for a while. It was real funny. It's just, I've seen people bouncing soccer balls off walls, people chilling in the park talking about their lives. It feels good. The game has character, and the characters have personality. The main character, Aiden, isn't the most likable character, and he isn't necessarily an anti-hero either. He's just not all that relatable in some circumstances, but he's also not... He's not an awful character, but he's not a great character. Some of the other characters are pretty good, and again, the city is alive, and that adds a lot. I like that. It could be better. Like I said, I think Aiden could have been done better than he is, but hey, I guess I take what I get. I mean, there are even accidents sometimes. I was chilling at a stoplight, I didn't hack it or anything, and someone rear-ended someone else. It was a car accident. I mean, it happens in real life, and it was cool. They got out and talked to each other and everything, and it was like a real moment. It was interesting.
You really thought you could get away with it? Wait.
No. Bad. So like I said, it's not Game of the Year material, I think, for a lot of people, but people should stop getting so hyped for things, because it makes that whole hype circle jerk go around in its circle, and it's dumb. There are people that like something because it's cool, and people that dislike it because it's even cooler to dislike something that's liked. It's a dumb cycle where people on both sides are bringing their annoying habits into it, and it's stupid. People need to stop with this hyping things up like they're Jesus, and that would also help other people stop anti-hyping things like they're Satan. It's dumb. Get a balance depending on the game. It's good. It's probably not Game of the Year material for most people. It's a good open world game with a fairly forgettable story, some interesting characters, and a really cool city, a really cool open world city that carries this. You are being watched at all times. You could be being invaded. Huge streams of information that make you focus and think everywhere theme. It does it in gameplay, it does it in narrative, and I like it. So all in all, no, it's not a perfect game, but it's certainly not a disappointment, unless of course you are one of those people that for some reason hyped the game up like it was going to be a Grand Theft Auto killer or something. I don't even know what that means because I don't play consoles, so I've not played GTA 5, but comparing this to GTA 5 is a little silly. It's a more focused game. That's like comparing Just Cause to Grand Theft Auto, or, I don't know, Saboteur to Grand Theft Auto. They are games with a narrower focus. Grand Theft Auto is about being not necessarily a criminal, but a world-class asshole. And the entire world is your oyster. The entire game world, that is. There's a lot to do in those games because it's not a focused game. There are multiple storylines that crisscross around you and things like that. It's a bigger, less focused experience, which is awesome, by the way. That's not an insult. I love those games. But a game like this is more focused. It's got a narrative, a distinct storyline, one of them. And although it might not be as high quality as people were hoping, and I would happily admit that the story is not its strong point, it's still a very fun game whose various minigames and collectibles and all that stuff are really related to this theme that they've got. This whole, you are a watchdog, and there are other watchdogs that might be watching the watchdog. It's cool. I like it. I mean, you can even play chess, for God's sake. But anyway, I suppose you're probably getting the picture by now, whether you like this game or not.
What can I get you?
Nice. The world feels alive. Even things like back alleys have personality to them. There are ambient noises, there are atmospheres, there are people back there doing things. Even some people that are like dumpster divers and things. I hacked a soda machine one time just to see what it did, and it spit out like 3 Cokes, and as I was walking away, I heard some girl go, "You are one angry pop machine." I don't know, it's just funny to me. The game has personality. And that's probably one of the best things I can say about it, because, in my opinion, that's most important to me. I want my open world games to have an interesting open world. For all of the good things about, say, Just Cause 2, the world itself feels kind of empty, a little dead most of the time. It's a really fun game, don't get me wrong, it's fun to screw around, but the world itself is not all that interesting, necessarily, in a micro way. Macro, it's huge, but, you know. Man, there are all kinds of things going on here. So, yeah. That's pretty much all I've got to say about the game, I think. It's good. If I gave review scores, which I don't because they're dumb... Uh-oh! Crime!
Hey, that guy got my wallet!
I should have hacked that when he passed it. The game is very solid. It's not perfect, but it's solid. Again, a deal breaker for a lot of people are going to be the optimization issues, and I completely understand. If you're afraid you might not be able to run it, that's a perfectly good reason not to buy it now, isn't it? So keep an eye on the news, keep an eye on your NVIDIA or AMD driver updates, and Ubisoft updates to the game itself. Keep an eye on the news about, you know, if optimization issues are being fixed or not, because I totally understand if people don't want to spend the money on the game, because they're not going to be able to play it. I mean, there's no better reason than that. So yeah, I get it. Now, I think one final thing to say is that it's... how do I put this? Sorry. It's a bit disappointing to some people because they were hoping for a different experience, I think. They were hoping for maybe a more Grand Theft Auto-like experience with a larger open world, even though the world is pretty big, and the fact that even small details matter makes it feel even bigger. They were, I guess, hoping for a Grand Theft Auto Cyberpunk Chicago. That's not what it is. I'm here to tell you right now, if that's what you're expecting, you will be disappointed. That's not what the game is at all. There was a pretty big leak that happened that everyone knows about. I think the main reason for that leak being so popular, it's one of the biggest leaks ever, is the combination of the fact that this game was delayed several times and all of the pre-order editions and things like that giving various promises. I think that's one of the reasons that this game was so... the leak was so successful, I guess is the word. It's unfortunate to see stuff like that. I believe leaks are much more damaging than something like piracy. That's another video. Well, in closing, it's a really fun game. It's good. It doesn't run as well as it should. That needs some work. The hacking and things very satisfying. There's a lot of information to process in quick ways as you go through the city, as you're doing missions. The online invasion aspect is extremely cool. It's just a badass feeling game, I guess is the best way to put it. It's really satisfying to shoot, it's really satisfying to complete missions, it's really satisfying to drive well, to pull off crazy hacks that stop cars in their tracks, that raise bridges as you're running away, that crash people in absurd ways. It's awesome. It feels great. And gameplay-wise, it is not a disappointment. Graphically, even though it looks good, it doesn't look as good as the E3 demo, so I can understand why people would be disappointed in that aspect. Story-wise, a little bit disappointing. But overall, I'd call it a very solid experience. Again, not Game of the Year all years for most people. Not what everyone was expecting. But good. If only the whole anti-hype circle jerk around popular releases wasn't so obnoxiously high school-esque, then maybe we could get some more intelligent opinions around this game. But unfortunately, a lot of people are going to have to wait until the whole hype train wears off. Don't get hyped, people. Seriously, it's okay to be excited for a game, but don't get hyped up to the point where stuff like that can happen. It's dumb. Also, one thing I gotta say, the pop-in in this game is kind of awful. They need to fix that. The cars, pedestrians, traffic lights, and things like that, the distance at which they actually pop into view, they start rendering in front of you, is too short. That needs fixed. The draw distance itself is very impressive, especially with level of detail on high, which is a little taxing on your system, by the way, a little more than it should be. But the actual render distance for small details and things is way too short. They need to do something about that. But anyway, yeah. I mean, even details like the way all that stuff was following my car and things like that, I noticed things like that, and it's important to me. I don't know why, I guess I just like details, but this is a city with love put into it. It's a city with a lot of detail, with a lot of polish. The game needs more polish put onto it. Gameplay-wise and atmosphere-wise, it's got a lot of polish. Technical-wise, that side needs work. So that's my final verdict on the game, I guess. I like it a lot. It's a lot of fun. If it looks good to you, give it a try. But again, there are some problems with it. I can't lie, I gotta say that it came out in a state that does not excuse the delays. The kind of delays they put on this thing, you'd expect it to be in a better optimized condition. That's something that Ubisoft needs to be held accountable for. But anyway, folks, thanks for watching. I hope you got a good opinion of the game. If there's things I can do better, please let me know, because I know there are. Also, the particle effects in this game are freaking amazing. Holy shit, look at that. Oh my god, it's beautiful. Sparks, smoke, gunfire, lighting. Oh, it's so pretty. Anyway, sorry. Fact is, it's not perfect. Who knew, right? Well, anyway, folks, I'm enjoying myself. I hope you do too. If this is a game you are interested in, I hope I gave you an objective and interesting look at it. I hope you can decide from the various things I like and dislike about the game whether you will do so. And at the end of the day, I guess the point really is, it's a lot of suspension of disbelief and a lot of, well, the fact is each gamer is going to be able to put up with different amounts of things. Yeah, some people aren't going to mind certain problems, and some people are going to really be affected by them. But I'm having a huge amount of fun. Ow. So that's that, everyone. I kind of want to do some more videos, maybe about some of the online aspects of this game in the future, so keep an eye out for those. And at the end of the day, well, I like it. A lot of people don't like it, but at least state your reasons in a fairly objective way so that other people can understand if the things you don't like might be things that they actually do, and the other way around. Thanks for watching, everyone. Again, please let me know about things that I did wrong and things that I can improve on, because I know there are lots of them, and I'm trying to get better at this. There have been a lot of delays in my videos because mostly because I moved over to a new computer, as you probably heard me talk about when I first started this video. And hopefully I can make some higher quality productions as well as productions more often now. And as long as I've got you guys to help me out with a lot of the issues I have doing this in a more professional way, then I'm in it for the long run. So this is going to be my 99th video. Of course I would have more than that, but I've deleted several. But anyway, I'm really happy to be at the point I'm in right now. I want to make a career out of this, and I thank every single one of you guys for watching my videos and for showing interest. I love you for it, and we're gonna keep going. Watch Dogs, everyone. Come to Chicago. It's an enjoyable ride, if you can run it. I'll see you guys next time.